Alright, we got an 09G that was not moving, had no fluid in it at all. And let me get me a small parts basket. I also had a output speed sensor signal implausible. So these are all 12 millimeters. There's a stud right here. Stud right there. A few of these bolts are a different length, so you need to pay attention to where you're taking them out of. There's a really long one there, there's a medium one there. $10 millimeters on the pan. Somebody's added something to this. You can smell it. Dr. Traney or some kind of stop leak. It just made things worse. I keep my filter bolts separate. Okay, somebody's been in here and swapped things around. That goes to a pressure sensor that's no longer in here. So this may get interesting. Little tabs on this nut for the linkage. Bend those down. Just the nut. There's the keeper. And then pull this linkage off. $8 millimeters on these two brackets. A little tab right here, just push down on that and the harness should come apart. Of course this one don't want to. I don't know what they did to this thing. It should just come out. And that's our speed sensor, so it may be part of our problem. This one has the same thing. This one don't want to come undone either. It should not be that difficult to get apart. Here it goes. That stop leak stuff really does numbers on transmissions. There's another pressure sensor wire that it no longer has. Tabs in there, those come undone also. These just kind of bend up on there a little bit, and your harness should come undone. Pay attention to how this harness comes undone, because you will spend a lot of time trying to figure out how it went back in there. Alright. That's going to hang off there. This is going to hang off of here. These are our speed sensors. This is the other harness. I'm going to undo our temp sensor and bracket. Alright. This sits up by the front here. Alright, 10 millimeters hold all this on. There's a bracket for the wires here. Bracket for the wires here, which is facing the wrong direction. Somebody put a Torx head bolt right there. The two shortest 10s go here and here. Somebody put a Torx bolt there also. Let's see if it's a 27 or a 30. Looks like a 27. Valve body should lift off. There's our two speed sensors. 10 millimeter on this one. $8 millimeter on this one down in here. $10 millimeters for our wiring harness on the outside on both of them. Alright, these are bad about leaking fluid through the center of the connector. Once they start doing that, they need to be replaced. Our accumulator and our spring. Still got one bolt left. sure your race for your differential is in good shape and your transfer gear. The differential should just lift out. You may have to finagle the transfer gear just a little bit. Alright, we'll wait just a minute on it. When you spin this ring around, you're going to turn that until you can see the roll pin. There it is. And it's 5/32 punch. You pull your linkage out now. Pull this out, making note of which way it went. Find your roll pin before you lose it. Set it to the side. $12mm on the pump. There's 3 different sizes here. This one's got a silver or a kind of a brass to it. Our gasket. Set the pump to the side for the momentary. This cage here likes to split in half, so look it over and make sure it's not broken. You don't need to take it apart unless you just need to replace part of it. Just set it off to the side. Pull our drums out. We'll get to them in a minute. Our planetary, there's a washer that goes here. Sometimes you get washers, sometimes you don't, so be careful with them. Or make sure our planet pinions are in good shape, or where our clutch is right, or it's not just beat to hell. This looks okay. We have our sun gear. The deep end faces up. Our bearing on the back here. Our race and another washer. And another bearing on the back. This race may stay on there. If it does, I'll just leave it. There we go. There's another race right here for our bearing to ride on. I'll set this drum to the side. Bearing goes with the rollers down. Set of clutches here has a cushion plate on top. Make sure it's not broken. Our steels are in good shape still. Our shell. There's a race down inside there. Sometimes this little ring here has a snap ring that holds it in. Right here, I've only seen a couple that did, but sometimes it has that. Alright, let's see if we can get this, move out the way now. Pull our diff out. Make sure your pinions and your rollers and your ring gear's all in good shape. It usually is. I used to pull all this linkage out. I don't do that anymore. As long as I can get my sun gear to roll up out of there, and most of the times I can. 50 Torx down in here. You know, there's little tabs that go up around it. You don't have to bend those down. Just leave them alone. See if we can get this out of here. It's kind of hard to grab a hold of. Alright, 4-tab brass washer. It goes on the planet here. There's no need to take all this apart. It's usually in very good shape. Don't worry about it. Snap ring is over here at the 10 o'clock. Just mark my opening. Flat snap ring holds the sprag in. Once you take that off, you can pull the planet assembly up out of there. Just get on the middle sun gear. Pull that whole thing out. And pay attention to your sprag rotation. The outer sprag is, well, since we're going to be doing the sun gear, we're going to want this is turning clockwise, locking counterclockwise. There's a bearing and a race up in here that's going to fall out. You have to put this up in there before you put the assembly down in there, otherwise you're not going to get it in. Just make sure it's not pitted. And our sun gear is okay. There's another race that goes on the back. Planet's in good shape. Snap ring in here at the 11 o'clock. Our set of clutches. Our other drum will come out now. There's a bearing and race back here. There's a race down in the case. Now, this sleeve that's in the case right here has a tendency to spin. So there's an opening in between the sealing ring lands. If your opening is still right there, this is not spun. And it's a pain to change. Alright, the flat snap ring at the 11 o'clock. Our spring retainer. And our piston. Alright, we got another plastic washer here. Be careful with it. Another bearing and race. I'll take the clutches out. I'm not going to take the drums apart until we sell this, because I've been told that the guy doesn't have much money. This is not a unit to not have much money on, because it's going to be expensive. These have rubber molded pistons. You always need to replace them. The valve body is always worn out. You need to put a new one. And between the kit converter and the valve body, it's an extremely expensive unit to do. This one here, the snap ring, can be a real pain to get out. I wouldn't take it out right now, except for I'm going to need to know what my steels and my pressure plate is. Alright, I can measure all that off camera. Alright, let me take the pump apart and then we'll write this one up. There's a washer here. Usually it comes in the kit. .30 torques on these bolts. Make sure our surface in here is okay, our bushing is okay. We're not ring cut in the back here. Our saline ring lands are okay. Pump gears, dots are up. Looks like we're still in good shape. Looks like we need a pump bushing. Alright, I'm going to have to find out what valve body is supposed to be on here, what I got on here, what wiring is supposed to be in here, or code on our valve body. Is right here on the separator plate. This one's an E1. I have a feeling that is not what's supposed to be on here. So it's going to take a little bit of research. I'll get this written up and we'll be back.